Everyone, welcome to the Your Money Your Life podcast, episode 290 of the pod. We do this every week, so make sure you like, subscribe, five-star rate, and review the podcast from wherever you're listening and or watching. I think we only have one place to watch right now, which is YouTube, but you could be watching on multiple devices, your TV screen, your phone, your iPad, Kindles. Do people still have Kindles? Wherever you're watching, please do that. We have a decent amount to get through. Let's get through some of those things, starting with the market update. There wasn't much in there, but I do want to talk about a few things if we can share our screen and get to it. It's taking a bit. We're already on the chart, so we'll go straight with the chart first to show what's going on. The market has opened. The market has opened while I'm recording this, and so we're down slightly to start the day. Don't know if that will hold. It could go up. Past 5 days of the market, we're down a little bit over a percent. So there's a pullback a little bit slight. Again, that's part of the market. If you're all green, there's no way. The market is green, what, 80, 85% of the time. The other time, 10 to 20%. You'll see pullbacks, you'll see corrections. And we've actually had a lot of green year to date, really, outside of the early April time period, late March. We've had a lot of green in the market. We're still up year to date 8%. On a year basis, we're still up over 14%, and don't even want to go to the 5 years and things of that nature. We're well strong. And I was explaining to a couple of prospective clients this week how that kind of works. But let's talk about why. There wasn't much noise in the market, to be honest. I'm seeing Walmart is raising their forecast. Let's look into what some of the leading voices on CNBC are saying. The Fed chair Jerome Powell is going to talk on Friday in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. He's going to offer insights on the path of interest rates. That's the biggest thing. The path of interest rates going forward is probably going to be the biggest differentiator and the biggest theme for the market going forward, especially if we get a September rate cut, which is what most people are baking in. The market's baking in, traders are baking in. We're currently at an 80% likelihood of the central bank cutting interest rates at its next policy gathering in September. That's according to a CME Fed Watch tool. So the minutes from the Fed in July showed that the policymakers are a bit worried about the state of the labor market and inflation. So labor market and inflation, their two mandates, they're a bit worried. They're not ready yet. They weren't ready then in July, in June, in these past months to cut rates. And again, we've talked about what cutting rates will do potentially in that cycle that it could cause. And so you're well aware of that from our discussion last week. But the Fed is worried about inflation accelerating as companies pass tariffs on to consumers. This is someone David Russell said. The minutes are consistent with Powell's hawkish comments. Last meeting, the Bulls might get some cold water splashed in their faces at Jackson Hole. So people are saying, hey, wait a second. We're not so sure the Fed's going to cut in September. Some people are thinking they may not. I highly will see, that they should, in my mind. And again, it doesn't have to be a large cut. A 25 basis points cut might be appropriate here in this scenario. You're also seeing the initial unemployment benefits filing saw a small bump last week. Saw a bump last week. The layoffs still appear to be limited. This is according to the Labor Department. So again, the job market seems to still be hanging on by a thread. But again, the inflation portion and consumers getting the tariffs effect passed on to them by companies is something that we were supposed to see. And, we haven't fully seen the effects of that yet. So we'll keep our eyes on it. Again, that's why we're seeing a little bit dip in the market. Maybe there's rumblings of the Fed not cutting in September. So this past week has been slower. Again, we're even slightly down today as I record. But those are kind of the themes you're seeing in the market. Walmart raised its sales earnings and outlook. They even said tariff costs are rising, and they're still raising their outlook. Walmart raised its full year earning on sales outlook. Even as it said, costs from tariffs continue to rise. The company has started to raise prices on some items, but it's kept others unchanged. So they really, for them, I think Walmart is a place where people go for goods that are lower priced. And so if you're telling me that a lot of things are inflated and other people have to push up prices and people are having a hard time, then of course, I think then that's where you go back to your staples like Walmart and places that are really good for consumers when they're looking for a safe haven in a time of financial strife. So they said they're going to manage every item by item category, and they're going to look at everything as it needs to be looked at in terms of raising prices for tariff costs. So their net income jumped seven over a little bit over 7 billion and 88 cents per share on the earnings in the 3 month period that ended July 31st. Revenue rose to 169 billion in the year ago quarter. So that's kind of interesting. So they're doing well. And again, it's basics on, every retailer, every grocery store, everyone is going to handle tariffs differently. And Walmart seems to have their plan of action for that as they're proving to do well during this time. So we'll see. We'll have to keep a well eye on that story. We talked about inflation. We're going to our LinkedIn news. The Fed still sees inflation as a big risk. Most members of the Federal Reserve saw inflation as the greater threat to the economy in their decision to stand pat again on interest rates in July. Minutes of the meeting released Wednesday show that only a few members considered the risk of sweeping new tariffs bigger to the jobs market than to consumer price growth. So they're pretty much saying, hey, the two mandates, we see that the inflation is a bigger risk than tariffs affecting jobs. We see inflation being the bigger risk that we're focused on. So they don't want prices to continue to rise. They don't want consumer price growth to continue to shoot, to be hot, to run hot. So the big thing is the meeting, the Fed's meeting. They're dropping the meetings, and September is going to be huge. If we get a sense of what they do in September, that's going to be we will get a sense, and that's going to be really really interesting to see. I saw this story on Meta. They're halting their AI spending spree. So they've been spending for talent. We talked about it a few weeks ago, spending for talent, for the brains behind AI. But it turns out the Meta budget for all things artificial intelligence isn't limitless. The Wall Street Journal cited anonymous sources that the tech giant has instituted a hiring freeze across its AI division. As analysts question the scale of AI investment, the company has hired more than 50 researchers and engineers to turbocharge its efforts to develop a super intelligence that surpasses human cognition. Wow. The journal expects reports exceptions to the freeze, which also prohibits internal movement. So interesting. Okay, so they're saying, hey, we've spending too much. We've got all these researchers and the big brains behind creating the super intelligence AI model, but now there's like, okay, we spend too much. We got to chill out. It's like when you go, you're spending on this or that, the credit card or whatever. And you're like, man, I got to chill out. Too much Amazon, too much Uber Eats. That's what they're pretty much saying. They got to chill out. They haven't justified all the spending or the future spending that we're going to do. They hadn't justified it yet. And they wanted to take a step back. We get it. We get it. We've been there, Mark, just on a much lower scale. That's all good. He's spending 100 billion to hire people, and we're spending 1,000 to buy things for fun. It's crazy, crazy difference. But let's look at this Target story. I thought this was interesting. So Target will welcome a new leader at the start of next year. An incoming CEO, Michael Fidelki, hopefully I pronounced that right, has already plenty on his plate. Some analysts were surprised that Target turned to a company lifer rather than an outsider to shake things up. So they hired someone that's been a company lifer um, as the new CEO rather than bringing someone from the outside. And Target struggled. Do we have a chart on them? They have struggled as of late, which is quite interesting. They hurt Target and Walmart charts kind of look the opposite, if I'm not mistaken. But let's look at Target Corporation for the YouTubers. We are pulling up the TGT ticker and chart. Yeah, things look red. Looks like the red wedding here. Past 6 months down 21%, year to date down 27%. Past year taking a 31% dip in the past 5 years, 35% dip, which is surprising for Target. Again, this is a stable retailer that's always been, I mean, look at the all-time chart, right? It just hasn't recovered um, post COVID, post 2020 bear market, 2022 bear market just hasn't recovered, which is surprising. Again, you saw all the good, strong companies recover post 2022 bear market, which we knew they would. Target was one of them or most people would probably expect that they would, and they didn't, which is again surprising. They have to shake things up, so they brought in a new CEO. He's 11 years at the company. and he's knows the ins and outs of the company, and now he's going to try to turn around Target. And I have to read more about him. I don't know much to be able to make a judgment yet. Don't know much about the strategy that he's trying to employ, but they did need to shake things up, and they just made that move to do so. And Target's interesting because it's a Minnesota-based company where I'm from. So again, it's interesting to see what they're trying to do to turn things around because they have struggled over the past several years. And so that's going to be interesting to watch. I'm going to be watching that really, really closely. Again, can't make a determination because I just don't know enough about him and about the strategy. Another company that's interesting that was formed in 2019 via a merger between BB&T and SunTrust, two banks, was Truist. Truist is planning to open up 100 new branches over 5 years while renovating more than 300 of its existing U.S. branches. They're trying to pursue wealthy clientele. Location is key. Bloomberg reports as Truist continues to expand a team that caters to wealthy clients. Recently, Truist has invested in digital banking and now uses artificial intelligence to assist with tasks, including feedback analysis and fraud prevention. So they're trying to get after wealthy clients, Truist is, and they're opening up and doing some different things. Kind of interesting. I saw it as a story to talk about. There wasn't crazy or anything really in there. Um, that might be all we have for bigger stories. Smart Assistants AI. I saw something on Robinhood Snacks about smart assistants and AI, and it has a chart which I think is interesting of what U.S. adults are using what they're using smart assistants for. Some are doing it for check the weather, play music, and it has it broken down by demographic: Gen Z, Millennial, Gen X, Baby Boomer. Um, and it's interesting enough. It looks like is this showing that millennials and Gen X's are using AI more than Gen Z? Would that make sense? Like the young kids are all on AI. So that's an interesting chart. I would encourage people to check it out when they have a moment. Netflix curtain call. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Netflix spurns movie theaters, a problem when everyone is capable of making a good movie loves them. So, oh, okay, that's interesting. So Netflix is against movie theaters, obviously, because it's directed to streaming, but the bigger names and director names want to do theatrical releases. And in their contracts, according to reports, the Duffer brothers have been put off by the Netflix hardline theatrical release policy since the streamer often avoids giving tentpole movies significant time in cinemas before launching on the platform. So they want it to be in movies theaters before it goes direct to streaming, but Netflix, of course, wants it to go direct to streaming because that's where their bread and butter is. That's interesting. I wonder if that's going to shift over time. I thought it would be more prevalent. I like streaming movies at home. I've gotten used to it. I love it when the movie is at home and I don't have to go out to watch it. We have plenty of ability to do it at your own beautiful home. Like, why would you want to go out? I mean, I like the theater too. It's hard. It's hard. Sometimes you feel the need to go to the theater, sometimes you don't. Um, that's all the news really for today. But, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to break something we're going to be trying. I'm going to be trying, which is I'm going to try to make sure a new thing I'm doing. Again, we've built New Street from a lot of different things. You guys, if some of you have been listening since 2020 or 2019 when you put this out, probably 2020, but the company started in 2019. So we've grown a lot, we've learned a lot, we've done so much for over 450, 60, 70 families. So what we're doing now is making sure that we're disseminating the information not only on the podcast but via other mediums. So you guys know me. I've been not an anti TikTok, but a skeptical of TikTok. Didn't understand what the dances were for on them. But I do know it's a medium where we're reaching people that we could potentially help. So I'm going to be posting there every day, hopefully, for the next 100 days. I started already a few days ago, and I want to try something out. We're posting information. Again, this is information that you guys are getting on the podcast, more than likely, and have been for several years. But we're going to disseminate in a quicker, smaller way, more clipped way on there just so that people see some more information. And so I encourage if you're like looking for more information from me and ways to hear things that you heard on the pod or maybe heard in a different way, please do me a favor and let me pull this up for all my viewers. Do me a favor and check out the TikTok. If we can pull it up, might be the best thing here. Um, why can't I get any of this stuff to pull up? Here we go. Do me a favor, head to the people that are seeing it, head to the TikTok profile. You see that they were posting one today. We're having interesting conversations. I think we're talking about you're going to hit a little more in depth from me. So we're posting every day there. I want people to hear this information, and some of my smaller takes that you've already probably heard, but maybe need a different way to hear or disseminate it. So head there. We'll get more information and we'll have more fun there, and you'll be able to see some different things. Um, yeah, the last thing is, hey, this is what a great week. I'll be on vacation next week, so I actually probably need to do another pod here, just so we have enough material for us to release Thursday. That's next Thursday. But we'll release it next Thursday. And I'll say this, like for people out there that are working, grinding, do whatever you want to do. I just had a client reach out to me and say they're starting their own entrepreneurship venture, which is great. Do things so great that, I bring this up because my wife and we did a webinar. I did a webinar, and there was an individual that wanted a job from me, and I wasn't able to. I don't need to. I'm not hiring anyone. And the person got angry, somehow found my number and sent crazy text. But the funny part of the text was it was he couldn't understand the way my life was and how how happy I was, and it was almost unfathomable to him. So my point is, for people that are starting something or doing something, make sure that you do it so well that people will fully understand how it works. If you tell them what you do or how you're doing things, they won't believe you, and that's literally kind of the objective you need to have in mind when you're doing something, because it's yeah, it's quite interesting. But folks, we do this every week. Tap into the social media, TikTok. I will be posting there, and I'll also probably be posted on the New Street Instagram page as well. Make sure you share this with family and friends. We will talk to you next week.